Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Rock and Jouv show.
Hey, how we doing?
Back for another slamming episode. We're going to do a little bit different today, where lately we've been talking about a lot of news, a lot of things going on, a lot of
reactions.
So we're going to do something a little different today with the 2020-2021 NBA season looming. We thought it was only fitting to get in and get our rankings for the season definitively, so that way everybody knew where we stood before the season. You'll hear it here first. We'll be doing all 5 positions
at some point. We'll do it in installments.
Yeah, we'll take our time. No need to rush. And today we'll be starting with the point guard. So as you can see, we have all 30 teams here. We're going to rank them in these 5 categories. And these are not in any particular order on the bottom, but I guess we can just go through them that way. We did our best approximation of who's going to be the starting point guard. Of course, nobody knows. Things could change, but a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. So first here we have Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers starting at point guard. Now, he does some power forward stuff. They do all kind of crazy crap over there. And with Doc Rivers sliding into the coaching position, who really knows what would be going on? He is essentially their point guard, you know.
Who's their other best ball handling guard on the roster? Like Shake Milton?
You're right, yeah. So, I mean...
Like, he had a nice second half of the season when all their guys were injured. But,
Sure.
He'll probably be coming off the bench.
So we have these tiers: superstar, star, decent, mediocre, and room to improve. We didn't really want to call anybody garbage. We didn't think that was fair.
We didn't want to say ass or anything.
We didn't want to say anybody was ass, but if you guys infer that, then that's up to you totally. But we got Ben Simmons here. Where are we throwing him?
I think we probably got to put him in star. He's definitely not at that superstar rate yet. Still, what is this, 3 years in, can't really shoot a 3-ball very much at all. But undeniably a fantastic playmaker, a difference maker on the defensive end of the ball. I would give him a star.
I would also give him star. I think that's a pretty easy one right off the bat. I mean, he's definitely not superstar until he grows a jump shot. He's not in that rank, and he's definitely better than decent. Of course, he was an all-star. So I think that's a very fair ranking right off the bat. Again, I think if he were to develop that shot, we could seriously be looking at superstar status. And I had seen some video of him in the offseason kind of working on that shot. It didn't look bad.
That's the thing. We see that all the time with every player who struggled with a jump shot. I remember there was that one off season we saw Michael Gilchrist had the jump shot without the elbow pointing in. Everyone's like, yo, this might be a season. And then all of a sudden, season starts right back at it.
It's kind of tough with those guys. I remember, I mean, over the offseason, I saw Lonzo kind of had something like that going on where he, his shot's fixed. I mean, we'll really see now if that's true or not. But so next we have Malcolm Brogdon. Well, this player actually is pretty surprising. When he was on... So where was he drafted? The Bucks?
The Bucks. They drafted him in the second round, and I believe he did win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. And I remember that was a pretty weak Rookie of the Year.
It was like 33 games of Joel Embiid versus Dario Saric versus Malcolm Brogdon,
right.
if I remember correctly.
It was a very weak year.
That was Simmons was injured, and Brandon Ingram was... not Brandon Ingram yet.
Exactly. So Malcolm Brogdon gets traded to the Pacers in a sign-in trade. And he doesn't explode, but man, he is a very consistent driving force on that team, and he really affects winning in a positive way. And just the couple games that we played against them over the season, and I didn't tune into many Pacers games to be honest with you, but he was very consistent, and you shouldn't, and unless you're Indiana, you really shouldn't. They're not exciting anymore.
Especially in the beginning of the year. Like, I think he had, I remember correctly because it was over a year ago, but I think he was like hot. I mean, he ended up averaging over 7 assists anyway, but I think he had a bunch of high assist games in the beginning in his full-time transition to being a point guard.
Now, I thought he was the 6th man. Is that not true?
No, he started all 54 games for the Pacers last year.
Wow. Okay.
And even on the Bucks, he started all 64 of the games the year before at the 2-guard spot.
Okay, but now he's playing point guard for the Pacers.
Yeah, now he's running the point.
Where do we got him here? Decent seems a little harsh. Of course, we're not going to give him the star, but doesn't decent just seem a little... I don't know. So he's in this in-between stage.
Do you think we could make that... We could turn decent into solid? Because there should be something in between star and decent.
Okay, so put that as solid, and mediocre is fine.
Mediocre could be decent, but let's leave that.
Solid, I think, is good for him, and I think that's exactly what he is. He's just a very solid player.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. So next we come to Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns. Now, he obviously kind of, I don't want to say carried this Thunder team, but he basically carried this Thunder team last year. And they made the playoffs, and they were pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about affects winning with Malcolm Brogdon. Chris Paul most certainly affects winning. So,
Certainly, yeah.
I think even though he's a little older, I believe he's 35 this year, I would still put him in that star category just because of what we saw him do last year with that Thunder team that really wasn't supposed to make the playoffs and willed them to the 5 seed.
Okay, so you want to throw him right in that star category.
Yeah, I'm being a little friendly.
Okay, and I think that's fair. I think he is better than solid. Yeah, star is definitely fair for him. It really took that Thunder team further than what anybody really thought they were going to go. And I think actually maybe not us. Maybe we had them in our 8th seed.
I don't think I did.
In our way too early rankings. I don't know. We'd have to go check.
I'd have to look. I probably didn't have them in the playoffs. I think we said that they might be a little bit better than people expected. They won't be a pushover and like top 5 in the lottery, but
you're right. They certainly overexceeded. So star is definitely fair for him. And they traded, and they didn't really get rid of too much. They got rid of Ricky Rubio was dead weight, but Kelly Oubre was I don't want to say a backbone of that team, but he was really like the kind of grit and grind score the
Kelly
ball.
Oubre was great. He fit what that team needed real well. So
yep.
They might miss him a little bit, and the Warriors are going to welcome him with open arms.
Okay, so next we have Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls. Third year in the league?
Yeah, this will be a second year. He was a top 10 pick last year.
Yeah, this will be his second year. I can't say too much about him. He didn't really have a great season. In the beginning, to me, it kind of looked like he was on pace to set the Rookie of the Year, but that was just before Ja really exploded. It looked like he was in the race in the beginning, though.
He was kind of like a microwave guy off the bench for them last year. Didn't shoot great percentages, wasn't really a terrific passer either, especially at the point guard spot.
Now,
but
who started?
He had a couple explosions, though.
Now, who started for them?
Last year, it was, I guess, Chris Dunn, maybe.
Okay, and Chris Dunn's gone.
Yeah, Chris Dunn's gone, and they also had Tomas Satoransky, who started some games at the point over him.
Where did Chris Dunn end up? Is that the Magic?
Chris Dunn is on the Hawks. They got every quality guy.
Yeah, they're really making a push. Kobe White, I'm going to throw him in room to improve.
Yeah, I was going to say, damn, we're really agreeing a lot today.
Yeah.
I'm throwing him in the room to improve, needs improvement, just because 2.7 assists. I know that he kind of he was basically running that bench unit, Mm-hmm. So you want to see a little bit better than 2.7 at the point guard spot. And now this year, he'll be splitting ball handling duties with Zach LaVine. But he's just going to have to get better as an overall playmaker. And again, also not even great on the defensive end either.
But it was only his first year, so I think room to improve is a great category.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being in the room to improve
for
category.
sure, yeah. And I think he would agree that he has room to improve as well. So I feel good about putting him there. Next, we have Derrick Rose. The Detroit Pistons, I honestly didn't even remember that he was still there. There was just so much talk of him going to the Lakers, and with the addition of Dennis Schroeder, who we'll get to, it doesn't seem that that's really where he's going, unless they do end up swinging Derrick Rose and putting Derek Schroeder out to be pretty nice for them. I don't know. Derrick Rose is an old man. He's Derrick Rose. Would it be sacrilegious to have our first mediocre player?
Yeah, I would say at this point, it almost feels bad to name that category mediocre. But if we're talking in terms of starting point guards, he had a good year. 18 points a game, 5 assists. He had a fine year.
I don't think mediocre's bad. It's just average. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, average. That's the perfect way to put it.
All right, you want me to change the category name again? You came up with these category names.
All right, we'll call it average.
So we'll put Derrick Rose in the average category. I think that's fine. He's not old Derrick Rose, of course, but he's still pretty impactful. And him and Blake Griffin over there, man, I just wish that Pistons team would blow it up.
I don't know what the hell the Pistons are doing. Dude.
Every time I talk about the Pistons, man, I remember even a couple episodes ago, just totally not even thinking about that, but we were just reading off the Pistons roster. Yeah. We were like, damn, these guys suck.
Dude, they do.
Dare I say, that could be the worst roster in the NBA.
It is. And they still, Derrick Rose is tradable. Blake Griffin has a huge contract, I think for only another year or two. I'm going to say that the Pistons are ass. And their offseason didn't make very much sense at all. I think they should really be tanking. I'm not saying tanking, maybe not tanking, but they should just be playing all their young guys and seeing what they can get out of them.
All right, next we have Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard. I mean, I think this is pretty obvious. Room to improve.
No, he made the conference finals last year, but I mean, still
Was that
definitely
last
room
year?
to improve. Yeah, it was.
That's how
And then they lost to
forgettable
the
this
Warriors.
Portland team is to me,
Well,
man.
like it was 18-19.
Yeah, clearly our first superstar here. I think we can both agree.
Dame Lillard's absolutely the real deal. No other way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a top 10 player in the game. Is probably in that category with Stephen Curry, and then I don't even know who else. Where you just have to pick him up inside half court, and when he's on fire, unless you want to put. I mean, obviously, like Steph Curry's ridiculous, but besides Curry, like Lillard's the guy that. When he's on, like you have to be watching.
If they don't do better this year, what's it all for? Dude's just wasting his career up in Portland. You know what I mean? I think that, man. I really do think he's wasting his career there. They don't really provide him anything.
I think he's definitely very loyal to Portland. He said that his whole career he doesn't want to join a super team. He doesn't want to win a fake title. I can't disrespect him for that, but yeah, they kind of got to do better. They had a solid offseason, but I don't think it was anything drastic that's going to turn them into a title contender. I mean, they'll be a playoff contender, but I don't know about a title contender. And they lost to Whiteside, but I mean, his impact on winning definitely up for debate.
Another offseason goes by where other teams either get better or worse, and Portland stays the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they brought in like Rocco, and they brought Cantor back.
Well, I guess they beefed up a little bit, but
A little bit, but not enough.
CJ McCollum as the Robin, as the Batman and Robin duo here is just not cutting it. And I know sometimes they'll put up 25, 30 points, but they got to really look at him and be like, all right, either we need a solid third option or we need to trade away McCollum and get a better second option,
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, it's like McCollum needs to definitely be more consistent. He's a great player. The two of them are best friends over there. At least it seems that way, Dame and CJ. And I think if he did trade CJ, that it might upset Dame a lot. But
I don't think that CJ McCollum can be the second best player on a championship team.
No, I don't think so
I think
either.
he can be the
I
third.
think he could be the third. I
Yeah.
think Lillard could maybe be the best on a championship team. He's honestly that good, but he needs a real Robin there. And I mean, CJ McCollum could easily be a starter. Exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly who would complement this team, and it's the player that I've been trying to slide into every single team that needs to kind of get over the hump.
Who?
Paul George. To be honest,
Interesting. Paul George and Lillard would be pretty weird together.
There's no better time. I mean, his stock is so low. You know what I mean? I mean, he really is. Like, everybody sees how terrible he was this past year.
Yeah.
His stock is so low, man. They could give up. I mean, obviously, you still have to give up a lot. He's still that
They'd
star
have to
caliber
trade
player.
McCollum and then probably a bunch of picks just because it doesn't make sense for the Clippers who lost all their future to sell low.
Regardless, okay, so we got Damian Lillard up there, superstar. All right, next we have D'Angelo Russell, starting point guard for the Timberwolves. This might be our first disagreement here, to be honest with you.
Well, it depends.
Okay, I want to put him into our star category.
Ooh, all right. So I think we're gonna have a minor discrepancy.
Okay.
Minor.
Are you voting solid?
Yeah, I want to put him in that solid just because I look at the players that are already in there. I see Chris Paul. I see Ben Simmons. I think he's still a little bit under. I think he's definitely better than Brogdon. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I really want to slide him into the star category, even if he's behind these other 2 point guards. I mean, he's an all-star. He was an all-star in Brooklyn. I mean, he was still balling out on the Warriors. The reason they ever won games was because of him. And now he's in Minnesota. This is ranking for this next season. Is that true? We're ranking
Yes.
this going into this next season. I think he's going to still put up 25, 27 points a game. Bunch of assists to Cat. I think he's going to have a great season. Honestly, no, he's in the West. But I was going to say, honestly, if he was in the East, he'd be another All-Star this year. I want to put him in star.
You see, I think my main reasoning. I mean, he's like a fine player. Like, he's a good scorer, like decent passer. I mean, the 6.3 assists, and he had 7 the last year when he was in Brooklyn. So I mean, those are like pretty good numbers. He was just kind of a weird player last year. He was just kind of a weird player, like hard to judge. I mean, he put up pretty good numbers on Golden State when he was kind of playing some 2 next to Curry for a while and then playing the point, but they were terrible. And then he went to the Timberwolves, and for I don't know, maybe a dozen games, he was playing next to Towns, and he was like still fine. His scoring totals actually went down a little bit. And he's just not great on the defensive end.
What were his numbers in Minnesota?
He gets inconsistent. 21.7 a game.
All right, I mean 21.7 a game on a brand new team, and they only played like 10 games. Like I don't know, man. I think that's pretty darn good.
I just feel like we're gonna have so many guys that are gonna be in that star category. Like just a couple guys are gonna be coming up, like comparing it to him to like De'Aaron Fox, depending on where you have John Morant, depending on where you're gonna put Jamal Murray. I mean, John Wall coming back from injury, Drew Holiday, Kemba.
All right,
Like,
how
there's
about
a
this?
bunch of guys.
All right, we'll put him in solid for now, and if we decide to change, then we'll decide to change.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's probably going to be at the top of solid. Though.
Okay, so we could definitely agree that he's better than Malcolm Brogdon.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we'll put him at the top of solid, and just I guess to double back on for star, who would you put ahead, Ben Simmons or Chris Paul?
I'm going to say Chris Paul just because I think his leadership is arguably the best in the league. I think he's one of the best leaders in the league and has been for a long time. And I know that's kind of an intangible thing, but just look at what he did with that Thunder team and just his ability to spread the floor. I know he's 8 inches shorter than Ben Simmons, and he's probably 15 years older. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that he's a better shooter, ball handler. You know, he definitely affects winning in a positive way.
He just has that it factor that I'm not sure Ben Simmons has, at least yet.
Next, we have Darius Garland for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know that there's much to talk about. Yeah,
I don't think there's very much to talk about either.
Right, and room to improve. He was just, I mean, that was his freshman year. Again, you know, so 2 freshman point guards starting for their respective teams this year. I mean, that's pretty good. He's a Vanderbilt guy.
I don't know. Him and Colin Sexton, they split time at the 1 and the 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it and you see the 12 points a game for rookie, like, oh, whatever, that's not bad. But you look at the field goal percentage at 40, you want it to be a little bit better than that. It was a little bit better than the numbers Kobe White had. And then for downtown, it was at 35, which was similar. I just think you look at it, very similar numbers and not great on the defensive end either.
Yeah, I'd be willing to say that even if Colin Sexton was who we had on this list, I would still be putting him in room to improve.
I think Sexton could at least be average.
I disagree. I really didn't hear too much from him, and you know they didn't win a lot of games. So I
mean, no, they definitely did not win a lot of games. He actually did average 20 points a game last year.
Oh, that's not bad.
It was very quiet. I thought it was like 18 and 19. I know he started picking it up. I mean, basically non-existent on the defensive end, not a good passer, but
right. And that Cleveland Cavalier team looks pretty much the same as it did last year, so I don't really know how that's going to look.
They're just basically going to hope all their younger players get a little better.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe they might trade Kevin Love. I don't know.
They could sell on a couple of those players. Yeah, maybe if Drummond has a team he has in mind, you know, they just take a 1-year salary of him and then kind of sign like a long-term deal if Drummond has somewhere he wants to go. But
that's true. So now, are you going to take Kobe or Garland?
I'm going to take Kobe White. Darius Garland, would you agree with that?
We saw more positives out of him. We saw negatives out of both, but more positives out of Kobe White.
Okay, next we have De'Aaron Fox, Sacramento Kings. Where are you putting him?
He's another guy. I'm on the edge with him. I think he's going to get better this year. Pretty good on the defensive end as well. He's got good hands. He's a good scorer, arguably the fastest player in the league. Averaged almost 7 assists again this past year. Really, if we have D'Angelo Russell in solid, I'm probably going to have to put De'Aaron Fox in solid as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think both of those guys could be in the star category. I think especially if we're projecting this year, I mean, De'Aaron Fox could be averaging 25 a game. You know what I mean?
So what does the Sacramento Kings roster really look like right now? Like, what is their starting 5? I mean, they still have Bagley. They just lost Harry Giles. They still have Harrison Barnes. You got De'Aaron Fox. You still have Buddy Hield.
I'm just going to pull that up. So they have De'Aaron Fox. They do have Buddy Hield, who I swore was going to get traded, but he didn't. They have Harrison Barnes still. They have Bagley, and then Whiteside's going to be starting at the 5.
And who did they draft?
They did draft Tyrese Halliburton, so he'll probably be playing some 1 and 2 off the bench.
I mean, that's a good roster. I'd say he's definitely better than Brogdon, just to slot it that way real quick. Will he be better than D'Angelo Russell this year? I'm a big D'Angelo Russell fan. That's just me. So if my bias is kicking in, then that's...
Yeah, I think if we just look at the fact that Russell has made an all-star team before, and at least offensively, his numbers have probably been a little bit better over the last 2 years. I think we'll give Russell the nod over Fox.
DeJounte Murray, San Antonio Spurs.
See, he's an interesting player who every year he's a most improved player award candidate in the beginning of the year, and then he's like fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course he had that pretty big injury last year.
Yes, he
which
did.
Kept him out for a lot of the season. But I thought before that he was really playing at a high level, and he was kind of bringing that Spurs team to where they needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, not the greatest scorer, but a pretty good passer, a great defensively good size. I would probably be willing to put him in average.
And I think he was on a path to becoming solid, but he just kind of, obviously, of course, the injury. What was that, an ACL?
I guess it was a calf thing. I think he had an ACL previously. He should be back and healthy, and I would put him in the average category.
Better than Derrick Rose?
Nah.
I don't know, man. I disagree. I think Derrick Rose is getting another year older, and DeJounte Murray is going to be coming back strong off of that calf injury. So I would honestly, I hope you'll join me. I think we should put DeJounte Murray above Derrick Rose.
All right, I've definitely taken a couple of these, so I'll give you that one. I think also Derrick Rose couldn't have his touches limited by however they want to use the rookie Killian Hayes.
All right, Los Angeles Lakers, Dennis Schroeder. Now, great sixth man last year for the Thunder. I know, obviously, he was a part of that winning team, but he was really a big part of why they won a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, he was huge. He definitely could have won Sixth Man of the Year award last year. I mean, 18.9 points off the bench. That's pretty damn good. 4 assists. I mean, again, they had Shea and Chris Paul as the other lead guards on the team. So I'm not too worried about the only 4 assists. I mean, he was never the greatest passer in the world. Pretty good shooter from downtown, pretty good shooter from the field.
So he was on the Hawks. And where was he before that?
I believe he was only on the Hawks and then traded to OKC for 2 years.
Solid? Can we agree that?
Yeah, I was looking into putting him average, but I just didn't realize that his numbers were very good.
Oh, no, I would definitely, this whole time I would be thinking solid just because, I mean, the games that we played against him, he really did torch us.
I think it's fair to put him in solid. I think his numbers could get even better.
Better than Brogdon?
This year. I don't know, because Brogdon is also an elite defender and is a better passer. I'm personally going to say Brogdon, but that one's up to you.
I will put Schroeder underneath Brogdon for the sole reason that Schroeder was a sixth man last year. We don't know how he can really lead a team as the starting point guard. However, Malcolm Brogdon, of course, led the team last year.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we come up to Frank Ntilikina for the New York Knicks.
You see, the thing is, I hope he's going to be the starter. I really do. When I made this, I mean, I could have put Alfred Payton, and he would be in the same category that needs improvement, or that I don't even know if he's ever going to get the improvement because he can't shoot and has tunnel vision. I would put Frank, I got to be unbiased here. I mean, he's going to be in the needs improvement category. I think he is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA and has the ability to be a good table setter. If he is going to be the point guard this year, he's going to have to get better as a three-point shooter, which he did, especially off catch and shoots in the corner last year. Without another guy that's going to have a stronghold on the starting point guard spot, he's going to have to be more aggressive this year and take that job. But I think he's going to have to be in the needs improvement.
It just seems as though he's been like a project for a long time for you guys. And I know he doesn't get a lot of time, but man, I'm just kind of getting sick of this dude. You know what I mean? Not seeing him and not really hearing anything from him. I definitely needs improvement. And I hope you're okay with me saying that I think he's worse than Darius Garland.
I was almost going to put him over Garland just because of how good he is defensively. But I think that's fair just because he's still a pretty incomplete player.
The thing is, he wasn't a starter last year, so I really can't.
He wasn't.
But I do agree. He's probably he is a better defender than Darius Garland, but Darius Garland led that team last year, and even though they sucked, he still got a year of experience underneath his belt.
I agree. I think if Frank did get more experience and did get more reps, that maybe he'd be a little bit higher.
Okay, so next we have Markelle Fultz on the Orlando Magic. I feel like I follow Markelle pretty closely just because, we could have had him, so I like to keep tabs.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a good player, man. He really is. He's just got to find himself again. He's just got to reestablish, and it seems like Orlando has a lot of players there, but it just seems like they have a lot of mediocre players, whereas other teams you'll say, okay, we know that these are our best guys, these are our rookies, these are our role players, and these are our garbage dudes that are just kind of for the ride. But the Magic have just a ton of mediocre dudes.
There's not a bunch of clear roles on that team. Even the best players, Vucevic has made an all-star game. Aaron Gordon, he hasn't ever made an all-star game. I don't know. I'm not sure if he ever will, even if he plays in the East his whole.
No, he won't. Pretty underwhelming from him.
Yeah, he's just he's fine. I'm still going to throw him in the needs improvement just because.
Yeah.
12 points, 5 assists. He definitely has gotten a little bit better.
Would you call him the best room for improvement?
He's at the top of the room for improvement, at least out of the guys right now.
No, I totally agree.
He just has to play more under control. He's going to have to really define his role in that offense this year.
The trouble is you're going to have to really carry this Magic team in order for them to be successful because they're really just not that great. I don't think he can do that, but we'll see. Goran Dragic, Miami Heat, just re-signed. Eastern Conference champion. If I can just go right off the rip, I think Dragic really is a really good point guard for them. He's really consistent. I think he's making $16 million this year, and I think he does deserve it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a solid. I think that
Oh, that's not what I was talking about. I want to put him in star.
you want to put him in star.
I do.
I can't in good conscience put him over like D'Angelo Russell and even De'Aaron Fox.
No, I definitely could.
I just think he's really solid. No,
I'm sorry.
He's 33. He's 33 now, Ashton.
I know, but dude, I just watched, I'm
No,
sure
I know
you
that
watched
he was,
the
I know that he
Heat.
was great, and I know that their team was not as good after he went down in the finals.
But Jimmy
I mean,
Butler,
16 points, 5 assists, and we're putting him over D'Angelo Russell, who was 23 points.
I know,
6
but
assists?
that was 16 points. What did you say Goran was?
16 and 5.
16 and, oh God, that's not helping me. 16 and 5 though. That's on a really good team. That's on a team with dudes like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, dudes that
I know that they're almost kind of like the Kentucky of the NBA, where they don't necessarily have to put a good stats because they had 7 or 8 guys deep, averaging double figures. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
For the time being, would you say that Goran is the best of solid?
No, I think I would put him under Fox. He has to be under Russell, I think.
No.
No, he has to be under D'Angelo Russell.
We are disagreeing.
No, he has to. Come on, at the very least under Russell.
No,
I know you wanted
dude.
to put him.
D'Angelo Russell is like one of my favorite players. That's a non-Celtic. He really is. But I think that just watching Goran Dragic hitting every shot against us, man, it was just so annoying. Just the way he can get into the paint, give a nice little dish to Bam Adebayo. I really think.
No, I think he is a good player, but I just don't think he is quite as good as he once was.
I know, but he was the starting point guard on the Eastern Conference champion this year.
He
And they paid to have him back.
He started 59 games. He played 59 games last year and only started 3.
Well, that was the thing. Kendrick Nunn started a lot in the season, but when it came time for the playoffs, Goran Dragic came in and lit it up.
No, exactly. And I think if Kendrick Nunn were on this list, he'd be average at best.
I would even throw him in room to improve, to be honest with you.
No, I would probably throw him in room for improvement. How about under Russell but above Fox? Is that fair?
All right, I'll take that for now. Yeah, we compromise on this show.
Yeah, we do.
John Morant, Memphis Grizzlies. All right, now hear me out. We're talking about next
We're talking
season.
about this upcoming season.
This upcoming season, John Morant will be an all-star.
I want to put John Moran in star.
He's just very explosive. I mean, you always see the videos about how he lands, though. That is concerning. I do really want him to have a long career.
Yes, absolutely.
The way he, but he is just explosive, man, going for every dunk. He's a good shooter. He's a good passer. And they honestly have a really good team down there in Memphis.
I think their first pick was Desmond Bain.
Yeah, with the 30.
At 30, who they ended up getting back from you guys. Yeah, I think that he's going to be in star. I mean, last year, almost 18 points a game, over 7 assists.
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. And I know Zion only played, 25, 30 games, but Zion was one of the best rookies that we've seen. I mean, aside from Luka Doncic. Maybe even better in his little stint that he had.
Dude, and I like those Memphis jerseys, too. Those new ones.
Absolutely. The Memphis jerseys are very clean. I mean, if we're just looking at ways that he can improve his game, I think just his outside shot has to be more consistent, and I believe it will be.
If he puts on some weight, similar to Damian Lillard, if he gets a similar to Damian Lillard build, he'd really be kind of dangerous.
No, he's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to put him under Simmons?
I am. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, yeah, for now we'll leave him there. I think that's a good spot for him because, Ben Simmons is proven, but John Morant we're kind of taking a leap on here. So Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets.
For Jamal Murray, we have to put him in star just based off what we saw in the bubble.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And I think that is going to carry into the next season. Not a lot of roster changes.
Exactly. If we just look at the regular season stats, only 18.5 points a game, 4.8 assists. Very little improvement from the year before. So if we're just looking at that, he would be in solid. But just based off of what we saw in the bubble from him, and then in the playoffs, he went insane. He carried it. Him and Jokic absolutely carried that team into the conference finals. And I think they won one game, right?
Yeah, yep, they did.
Yeah,
against the Lakers.
They won a game against the. Moral victories aren't the greatest, but they still played the Lakers a lot tighter than a gentleman's sweep.
They exposed those Clippers, man. Everybody was so afraid of them, and they went in there and were not afraid at all.
And even they could have lost to the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, how many 3-1 leads they come back from? That is
Two.
Seriously impressive. But it's just kind of the swagger that they carry, and he is a big part of that. So I definitely, and I'm going to put him ahead of Ja, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, ahead of Ja. I think that's the perfect spot.
it was the confidence that they came in with, and I do think that next year he'll have the same. I mean, lights out shooter. Somebody we need to see more of is Gary Harris. I don't know where he went.
Yeah, Gary Harris kind of disappeared for a little while last year. I mean, he's really good on the defensive end, but his offensive output's going to have to be more consistent if they're going to have him be a real future piece for that team.
John Wall, Washington Wizards.
You see, he hasn't played in 2 years. I don't know what to expect out of John Wall.
Mm-hmm. I think he used to rely heavily on his athleticism, and then when you blow your Achilles twice, then I think you lose a lot of steps. But I imagine he's going to come back and be a pretty effective shooter, which he wasn't really known for.
Yeah, I think that part of his game is probably going to have to be improved, or else that's already one of the worst contracts in the league, but that contract's only going to look worse if he can't improve that aspect of his game with his athleticism.
I'm excited to see what him and Bradley Beal are able to come up with. You know, like you said, it's been 2 years since. So did him and Klay Thompson go down at the same time?
I think John Wall went down earlier. He went down during that regular season. He only played 32 games, and then Klay went down in the finals. John Wall, obviously, he had then the Achilles injury. I think he first went down ACL or something like that, and then had the Achilles injury in the shower during the season, so he missed last year. And then Klay Thompson had the ACL first in the finals, and then just recently the Achilles.
So can we say John Wall solid?
Yeah, I just want to put him in solid just because I can't.
Solid is pretty good, to be honest with you.
Solid's good. I mean,
Saying
he could easily be
coming
back in that star thing. He can get the Wizards back in the playoffs, but with 2 years off, not running in the NBA, I just don't know where in that solid do you want to put him.
I'm going to say ahead of Schroeder.
I was going to say ahead of Brogdon, but under Fox.
Yeah, and this is really high hopes, and I think part of this is just us hoping for the best. And that could change, I guess, if we think about it again. Next up, Drew Holiday, the Milwaukee Bucks. New team, new face.
I'm not sure what you're going to say about this. I want to throw him in star.
I think that's definitely fair. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I think one of the most underrated players. I mean, every year he's putting up around 20 points a game. He's throwing between 6 and 7 assists. Part of that was, I mean, he was sharing the ball with Lonzo Ball. He was playing a lot of shooting guard the last couple of years. And he's still putting up almost 7 assists. I mean, amazing defender.
Now that I think about it, man, I might change my answer. I might put him as the best solid player. And here's why. New team. These Milwaukee Bucks don't really work well as it is. He's never had a situation where it's just get it to Giannis. You know, he's never had that. He's usually been, I mean, of course he had Anthony Davis, but as a power forward, he's not doing a lot of top of the key dribble moves into the paint. You know, Drew Holiday was always able to really kind of facilitate that offense. That's not going to be the case here. It's going to be a lot of just get it to Giannis and let him work from wherever on the floor. So I think we're going to see a huge dip in his numbers. Also, this is a new team for him after, I mean, how many years? 4 or 5 years, you know, where he had success.
He was in the Pelicans for a while. Since 2013-14, actually.
Yeah.
Longer than we would have expected.
Right. So I can we put him at solid? Are you stuck in him?
I'm fine with putting him as the top solid guy.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just having a hard time really thinking that we're going to see a pretty steady production from him. I think it really is going to be just more of the Giannis show.
Yeah, but I think he could be a great complementary piece for Giannis.
Oh, definitely.
And he should be shooting the ball much better than Bledsoe.
Kemba Walker, Boston Celtics.
Oh, man. He's out until January. That came out today.
Yeah. I think it's just the first week of January. He had like some sort of stem cell shot or something.
Yeah.
I think it's for his knee.
Yeah. So he might miss a week or two.
Yeah, exactly. Not too bad.
What would your opinion be on throwing him in solid?
I would hate that, if I'm going to be honest with you.
All right. We'll throw him in star. We'll throw him in star.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you definitely complained to me a lot that Kemba would kind of disappear, like whatever he'd have his little scoring bunch in the fourth quarter, but then he would kind of disappear from games a lot, especially if Tatum wasn't on. He was kind of the guy who was supposed to be really consistent, and he sometimes wasn't. And
you're right. But here's the thing is he's been a Hornet his entire life other than when he was a Bobcat, you know? So I'm guessing when he came this new season, he was like, all right, I just, you know, that was his thing. I just want to win so bad. And you could tell he did. So from the beginning of the year, all right, well, you know, what's going on? We got to get Hayward involved. Okay, we got to get Tatum, Jalen. All right. Marcus just got a big contract. All right, let's figure this out. Hayward gets hurt. Okay, Kemba's numbers kind of come up, but then Tatum looks like he's taken over it, and it does seem like this is going to be Tatum's team next year. And Kemba Walker's not the best player on the team.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Tatum's team now.
Yeah,
I don't think that's debatable.
And there's a debate even if Jaylen Brown's going to be better than Kemba Walker, to be honest with you. But I think he's still that star point guard because of how he affected winning last year. I mean, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, beating the defending champs without our starting small forward or whatever he was playing at the time, Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. A gentleman's sweep of the Philadelphia 76ers, who realistically match up really well against us because they just have Al Horford
I
and
think Simmons was injured.
Joel Embiid. Yeah, no, he was, and that saved us. But still, I mean, Joel Embiid could have scored 40 a game. I'm going to say that he deserves star. I will put him last in star, but I think he is going to have a much better season next year with less cooks in the kitchen. Just kind of him, Tatum, Jalen, just trying to work, So that's kind of where I'm at. Next up, Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors. Kyle Lowry is one of my least favorite players. I'm just going to say it like that. I don't believe in Kyle Lowry. I don't root for him. It's not that I have any ill will towards him. I just don't think he's fantastic. I don't really like how much he complains all the time.
You see, I understand. I'm never the biggest Kyle Lowry fan. I mean, he did win a title. I know he didn't carry that team, but I mean, he did win a title. So that whole playoff Lowry narrative kind of disappeared. You can't deny that he also did not affect winning. Not quite like Chris Paul. 19 points a game, 7 assists, about a steal and a half, 5 rebounds. I mean, just a good overall player. At age 33, he still had it. I think I want to put him in star, but can we put him in star but right under Kemba? Is that fair?
I'm just going to say this, man. We saw him in the playoffs this year. Very invisible, I would say. And now this year you lose Marc Gasol. Okay, it's just you, Pascal Siakam, and who else?
Freddie?
Not Serge Ibaka. So now it's just Van Fleet, who got a ton of money. And you know how guys are when they get a ton of money. Either they show up or they don't,
Yeah.
Nicholas Batum. We'll find out pretty early. But I think it's just really, I mean, does this sound like a good team to you? Kyle Lowry at 34, or he'll be 35 this year, I think. Pascal Siakam and Fred Van Fleet, because you just lost your power forward and your center. So I don't know, man. I think him getting a year older and losing those 2 major pieces, I don't know, man. I kind of want to put him in solid, but
I agree because he is going to be another year older.
Another year slower.
You want to throw him, I guess, the top solid?
Okay, I'll do that.
He has been to 6 All-Star games in a row, but eventually that reign's going to have to stop.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because they don't have anybody else to root for up there. I don't know. Yeah, they're going to be playing in Florida, man. That is not their element. I don't know.
Oh, true. I forgot.
I want to put him under Drew Holiday, but I don't want to come off as a hater.
I think just because he's been to 6 in a row.
Okay.
6 All-Star games in a row.
But again, we are talking about next season.
Championship. Yep.
Okay. Next up, Kyrie Irving, the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Kyrie Irving is certainly my least favorite player to ever play basketball.
Yeah, I am definitely also not very fond of Kyrie Irving as well.
I'd like to throw him in the room.
Yeah, I really would want to, just because we don't know if he's coming back from the injury, if he's going to mesh with KD. I mean, in all seriousness, he's not a superstar. He's not a superstar.
Nope. And he was. And as soon as we started this list, my eyes immediately went to Kyrie. I was like, son of a bitch, he's going to make superstar, but he's not.
No, dude, he literally is not. He's not a superstar.
There
are maybe 10 superstars in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I'm going to say at most, and he's not one of them.
And I mean, so how many of those are actually point guards, And he was. And then he went to the Celtics and just kind of bled us dry of all joy for the game of basketball. And then now he's in Brooklyn. We don't know if he's going to be great, and I certainly do not think he's going to get along with KD. That is just...
I hope that's a recipe for disaster.
It is.
I think that there's...
But dude, here's the thing. If he leaves there, where is he going? Like, who wants...
Dude, I don't know.
Who wants...
I really don't know. Where are you having him in star?
All right.
Because talent-wise, I mean, he's above Chris Paul.
What was this injury? It was a knee injury.
The last one was a shoulder.
So
his shot could be all out of whack.
God, I really dislike him. But I think you're right. Above Chris Paul, behind Chris Paul.
We could throw him, dude. I have no problem. If you want to say behind Kemba, I don't care.
I know. That's the thing, is I really just don't like him as a player.
No, exactly.
But his skills are unreal. I'm gonna put him behind Chris Paul. I'm gonna take the high road. I'm gonna do the right thing.
All right, I will. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue.
You're right. We gotta put him ahead of Chris Paul.
Right. He's better than Chris.
We're going to do the right thing, and we're going to, even though we really dislike Kyrie Irving, he is probably the second best point guard on this list up to this point.
Up to this point, yeah.
Okay, we have Lonzo Ball, New Orleans Pelicans.
Lonzo really he had a little renaissance, especially once Zion Williamson started playing after his injury. The numbers don't pop off the page, but 11 points a game, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, steal and a half. I mean, he's a great defender.
Yeah, here's the thing, is those games that you watch, man, he is timid with the ball, and every time he held the ball, I was happy that he had it because I knew he didn't know what to do with it. He'll drive and throw it off the backboard or maybe try to dump it off to another player and just lose it. But, as you were saying, when Zion came in, they really did kind of have a connection.
Absolutely. His three-point shooting got a lot better as well. I mean, he was at 37.5 last year. That's above average. That was his thing. His rookie year, he was 30% from the arc, and he shot 36 from the field. He's still only a 40 from the field, so you want him to get better, and you want him to be better at making decisions. I mean, he definitely had a lot of improvement last year. Where do you want to put him? Because remember, this is a projection for this year as well.
Above John Wall? Solid?
Oh, so you do want to have him in solid?
I do.
That's good.
Is that crazy?
I was just figuring that I was bordering him between solid and average, and I just thought you were going to put him in average. I do like Lonzo.
All right, yeah. No, you're right. I forgot there was an average category. How about the lowest on solid? Okay. Yeah, I think solid. You're right. Maybe could he be the best in average?
I'm going to say the best in average.
Okay.
But I think he definitely has the potential to be a lot better than average, but they kind of got a lot of cooks in the kitchen at the guard spot. I mean, between him, Eric Bledsoe will probably be, I guess, slotting in at the 2, and then they also have the rookie Kyrie Lewis Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They might even have other guys that might get limited minutes there as well. So I think average is fair. But he definitely has the potential to be up in solid. And, I mean, eventually, if his potential hits outstar.
Okay, so we have Luka Doncic on the Mavs.
I think he's absolutely a superstar.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. Now, I think the hard question is he better than Dame or not?
So here's my honest opinion. I think if we're going based off of last year, the basketball that we watched last year in the bubble, in the regular season, Damian Lillard was better, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What? Just because Luka's 20, I think just turned 21 years old in February, I think I want to put him above Dame simply for that fact that he's just only going to keep getting better. The Mavericks are kind of an unknown team. Like, they can go as far as Luka takes them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't want to say, they could be a title contender this year, but they could legitimately be a top 4 or 5 seed in the West, literally all because of how good Luka is.
Yeah, like you said, I think it really does just come down to next season who becomes better. Damian Lillard is a year older. His team is pretty bad. I'm just harsh on Portland, man. I don't really have a lot of faith in them, but I think the Mavericks got better. They made the playoffs, so they lost to the Clippers, but honestly, Luka showed out. Kristaps showed out.
They got Josh Richardson.
They lost Seth Curry.
They had a couple draft picks. I mean, mainly Josh Richardson and then James Johnson, who's just going to be their resident enforcer, and he'll be there for like 1 year. I mean, they did draft Josh Green, who will be a nice like 3-and-D slasher guy.
Yeah,
he'll be a role player right away, and then Tyrell Terry, who I think will basically have that Seth Curry role with potential to be more, but at least as a rookie, he'll probably be Seth Curry, maybe a little better, maybe a little worse.
Next, Mike Conley, Utah Jazz. Now, the thing with Mike Conley is once he left Memphis, he just kind of disappeared for me. And I know him and Donovan Mitchell didn't really work out too well. 2 seasons ago, I would still have him in star. Unfortunately,
I think at this point he's in solid.
Yeah, unfortunately, just seeing how they kind of meshed last season and me really not being too hopeful for him to have a better year this year, I will agree and throw him in solid. Honestly, above John Wall after De'Aaron Fox.
I'm probably going to agree with that, but he just also had a very injury-riddled and just never got going last year. It was kind of hard to watch. I mean, only 40% from the field. He was very good from 3. I mean, 37.5.
So do you say better than John Wall? Less than Fox?
Here's the thing. I might put him under John Wall just because before John Wall got injured, I mean, he was better than Mike Conley. You know what I mean? And Mike Conley was very good. I mean, he was a top 10 point guard, I would say, during his best season, even though he never made an All-Star team. I think just because he was battling injuries and he's going to be a year older, just as John Wall obviously is coming off 2 major injuries and he's going to be 2 years older than the last time he played. I would give Wall the nod over Conley.
I'll do that with you. Then we have Patrick Beverly, starting point guard for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah, I think he has to go in the needs improvement category. At this point in his career, I don't know how much improvement there's going to be. But you never know. You never know. I mean, he's a very, very hardworking player.
He is.
Great intensity.
Lakers Clippers, who has the better point guard? Patrick Beverly or Dennis Schroeder?
I think Schroeder's the better player. I mean, Patrick Beverly plays the role so well. I mean, he's not going to give you any more than last 2 years. He was at 7 points a game.
Okay, so you're thinking average. You're thinking average.
No, dude, I'm saying like needs improvement.
You're serious.
He's a good role player. He's a good role player, but I think in terms of a starting point guard, I think the Clippers probably needed an upgrade, and they didn't really get one, at least yet.
I see what you're saying. He would be a good sixth man defender off the bench.
He fits well with that team. I mean, they already have Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to say he's ball dominant, like he's not a ball stopper, but he needs the ball in his hand a lot of the time. And then Paul George as well, who's going to need a lot of touches to be able to percolate. And I think Patrick Beverly doesn't need to be a star. He doesn't even need to be an above average point guard offensively for them to work well. I mean, he's a great defender, high IQ basketball player. But I think just in terms of when we're ranking starting point guards, he's got to be towards the bottom.
Here's the thing. I think his defense alone propels him into average.
I'm going to say no, simply just because we have Frank all the way at the bottom. Like, Frank Ntilikina is not on that Patrick Beverly level yet defensively, but he's maybe like that tier under. And just because we've had him so low.
Patrick Beverly is the best and needs improvement then.
I'm going to say he's the best and needs improvement.
Okay. I think that's fair. He is a lot of talk. He is their enforcer at 6'1" or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he does chirp a lot. Other than his defense, he really doesn't affect the game. So fine, room to improve. The oldest on the room to improve list, honestly.
Yeah.
It might as well be can't teach an old dog new tricks.
A separate category for PBAP, slightly in the middle of average and needs improvement.
Yeah.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
All right, so here we had Terry Rozier of the Charlotte Hornets. This could be LaMelo Ball, but the site that we looked at had Terry Rozier.
If we had this as LaMelo Ball, I would say he'd probably be a little bit under Lonzo. I'd say he'd probably be in between Lonzo and DeJounte, but again, we've never seen him play in the NBA. We don't know how his game's going to transfer. So we can infer all we want. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about that. But I mean, if we're just going based off of Terry Rozier and what we've seen from him,
I'm going to put him under Kobe White and needs improvement. What do you think?
You see, I think he's a little bit better than that. I want to put him in the average category. Just
really,
his numbers last year. I mean, 18 points a game, 18 for assists, 4 rebounds, a steal a game.
Here's the thing.
And his percentages weren't piss poor. He shot 40% from the arc, which is very good.
The thing is, man, he's losing that starting job.
I mean, sure. But I mean, look at Dennis Schroeder last year. You know what I mean? Dennis Schroeder was still the sixth man and put up very solid, respectable numbers. I think we might even see lineups that have LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, and Devontae Graham. Maybe some LaMelo Ball at the 3 just because he's 6'8", and see what they could run.
Is he
with
really that big? No, he's not that big.
He's listed as I've seen him listed as 6'8". Why a lot of teams like him.
What was he in his draft combine?
Yeah, 6'8".
No way.
If you Google LaMelo Ball,
holy shit! Wow, I didn't realize that. He is big. It's like how big LeBron is.
I mean, obviously not stature.
Right, of course. He's got 100 pounds on him, but Terry Rozier. All right, last in average.
I think last in average.
Okay. Russell Westbrook, Houston Rockets for now. Who knows if he'll be traded or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's still a star. I know that.
No,
he's another one of those players. His impact on winning.
I'm with you. I mean,
not 100% sure. I mean, I think everyone's tired of the triple-double thing at this point.
Yeah.
His contract, kind of hard for him to move. Another year, another earlier exit than they would have hoped, and almost lost in the first round. But
this is tough, man, because I just don't see. I mean, I don't really know what his numbers were. Can we get a number check?
All right, so he was 27 points a game, 7 assists, almost 8 rebounds, almost 2 steals a game. But, I mean, his shooting percentages were abysmal at best, 25% from the arc.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, I mean, from the field, he was still at 47%, which is pretty good. But that's just because, I mean, he's great at attacking the rim. He's a fantastic finisher, but abysmal from the arc. Like, he used to not be the worst shooter in basketball. I think his top season was, I don't remember I think it was his MVP season. He shot 34% from the arc, and that was on his highest volume.
Whatever team he's going to be on is going to be an adjustment for him. I'm going to go ahead and say, so this is like we're taking a gamble right now. So it's either he gets traded to like a championship contender or a playoff team, and there's some adjustment there, and he has decent season, whatever. Or he gets traded to like a bum team, like maybe the Pistons. I don't know, something like that. I mean, everybody's always wanted to see a Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin combo, just not
Yes,
in
absolutely.
2020,
We've talked about that.
Either he goes to a bum team like that and he puts up triple doubles. So I'm going to say he is star.
Yeah, I would say star. Where do you want to throw him at?
I don't know. What do you think? Because I don't think he affects winning as much as Kemba Walker. But
I think he's better than Kemba Walker.
he is, but
Although I know what you mean. It's kind of like, how Kyrie Irving, I don't think he affects winning, but just talent-wise alone, we had him as the top guy in that category. I would say
under Ben Simmons.
I want him over Ben Simmons.
Okay. You have a lot of hope for him.
Not even really. Kind of the same thing. Like, Ben Simmons is an even worse shooter than Westbrook. And, I mean, Westbrook has been just a perennial all-star every year of his career for the last, 10 years. So I think just because of that, we could throw him over.
So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the OKC Thunder.
He could easily be in that star.
He could be, man, but I'm not putting him there yet.
Yeah.
I think Ja and Jamal Murray earned that because they weren't there. They weren't in the star category last year. They're two new additions, but I don't think that Shai Gilgeous has earned that yet. I want to put him in solid. I'd be okay with putting him in high solid.
Yeah, he's probably going to be towards the top of solid. I mean, 19 points a game, 3 assists, 6 rebounds.
But he's not going to have any help this year.
He's not going to have any help, which means his numbers are going to be better, but their team might be way worse.
They will be, yeah.
Where would you be comfortable putting him?
I'd say under D'Angelo Russell.
I think that's the perfect spot for him.
Under Goran Dragic, actually.
Oh, dude. His numbers were better than Dragic's last year, and he's only
under
21.
De'Aaron Fox.
No. Oh, well.
All right. How about this? How about we switch Dragic and De'Aaron Fox? So De'Aaron Fox is better than Goran Dragic, and then we slide in Shai Gilgeous.
In between them?
In between the two of them.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. That's perfect. I think Fox, Shai, Dragic.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's perfect because I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Okay. Next we have Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors. I love Steph Curry. He's honestly one of my favorite non-Celtics players. I hope you agree with me. I still think you're the guy until you prove that you're not the guy. And with him being gone, I don't think he's really fell off. He's still going to be that guy when he comes back. I want to put him in superstar. That's what I want.
He's absolutely still a superstar.
Okay.
I mean, until we see something else, he's going to be in that superstar category. And I hope we don't see something else. I know that Klay Thompson's going to be out, but I still hope we see a nice 30-point-per-game season out of Steph. I want to see him carry the load.
Over Damian Lillard?
I think he is, dude. I think how about over Luka?
Really?
What's your opinion on that?
Look, I like I said, I love the guy. I have no problem with throwing him as high as I can. I think that maybe at this point, just because we're a little unsure with the injury, I might. God, that is tough, man, because they still have a team over there.
He wasn't very good in the 5 games he played. I think he played 4 games at the beginning of the year, came back for another game, and had another minor injury, and then the whole shutdown happened, and then that was it. He had a 5-game season, very lackluster. But I think
Steph Curry had a 5-game season?
Yeah, he only played 5 games. I mean, we look at the seasons before, dude. He was still the best point guard in the game. I think Luka's going to be great. But, I mean, just the fact that Stephen Curry has won 3 NBA Finals, until somebody takes that crown away from him, I think it's got to be his. And he's definitely playing for legacy as well. He's only going to be, 32 this year?
Yep.
I mean, he's, athletic, but he's not crazy athletic like a Russell Westbrook, like a John Wall. So I think his game should be able to age pretty well as long as he's still able to shoot and handle the ball.
Good.
I think he's going to be playing for his legacy because, 3 NBA titles is great. If he could win another one, probably not this year, but the year after, that looks great for his legacy. I think at the end of the day, he wants to go down as the best point guard of all time.
I think he's excited to play with James Wiseman, too. I mean, he called him a once-in-a-generation kind of talent. I think Steph will be kind of energized by that fact. I didn't want to sound old school throwing Steph Curry over Luka, but if you're with me there, then I'm definitely happy to be there. I have long said that I thought Steph was the best.
I was comfortable putting Luka over Lillard, even though I think Lillard was better last year, and Lillard really only improved in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Luka's trajectory, I think, will take him over Lillard, but I just don't want to put him over Curry. I think there will be a little bit too bold of a prediction.
Finally, we have Trey Young of the Atlanta Hawks.
I'm going to say he has to, at the very least, be in star.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we have one more spot in that superstar, and I was tempted putting him there just as a prediction.
Just because we didn't roll the dice too hard. We went a little old school. We said, all right, we'll have Curry over Luka. What if we have Trey Young as the fourth guy in that superstar spot? I know he's not a very good defender, and I know that the Hawks were bad last year, but the Hawks are going to be good this year, dude. Last year, as in his second year, age 21 season, 29.6 points per game, 9.3 assists, 4 rebounds. Even though he's not a good defender, still oversteal a game, which shows that he's at least being active despite his not great size and frame. 43% from the field, which is fine. 36% from the arc on almost 10 attempts a game, dude. He's a great player, and I think he's only going to get better. I think the Hawks will be in the playoffs, and I think he could be the guy that takes that jump. What do you think?
Yeah, as a prediction, I'm totally okay with throwing him in superstar. Here's the thing: I think that this team that they actually craftily put together around him.
Oh yeah,
Bogey is young, and you would think he wants to prove himself, but he just got a pretty big contract, and they just probably brought him in and they sat him down. They were like, "Hey, look, we threw a bunch of money at you. Just be happy with when you get the ball. Just try to catch and shoot." And Bogey can kind of create his own shot. Danilo Gallinari is not a very ball dominant person. Nobody here necessarily needs to be the star. You have John Collins, Clint Capella. I mean, they have a great big roster, but everybody knows that that's Trey's team. So I think I am with you throwing him in that last superstar spot. I did want to put him ahead of Kyrie Irving regardless of whether he was in star or superstar.
I think he could be better this year. I really do. And I just look at his numbers. Last year, the 29.6 points a game, 9.3 assists. I know the numbers aren't everything. Mm-hmm. And I know that we're going to have to see some improvement from the Hawks in order for him to be in that superstar category, but Kyrie Irving never had numbers as good as that. Never, ever. And that was Trey Young's second season, age 21. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to make a little bold prediction. I can see Trey Young leading the league in assists this year, assists per game. I think the only thing that could maybe hold that back is the fact that they have Rajon Rondo in there. He'll be taking the ball handling load off of Trey Young a little bit, but you just look at the shooters they got in there, bro. They brought in Bogdanovich from the Kings. Kevin Huerter's still there, a great shooter. Danilo Gallinari.
I'm hoping Rondo kind of leads that second unit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I'm sure that we'll see plenty of crunch time lineups where they'll have Trey Young and Rondo out there just so Rondo can be
the defensive anchor, and Trey Young could be the offensive guy. Mm-hmm.
Honcho, if you will. They have such a good. I'm not saying they're winning the title this year, but they have such a nice roster.
Yeah, they do. They could make a deep playoff push, and nothing crazy. I think they could get to the Eastern Conference semifinals. I think they could make it to the second round, but I think that's pretty much it for them. But I think that is honestly a great place to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, that's our list, everybody. Thank you very much for sticking around.
We hope you enjoyed it. I will probably do a couple more lists like that. We said we might go by position.
Hopefully we can have that. I know we have some other ideas for episodes coming out too, but that'll do it for today. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv.